さんの気持ちもわかるけどよ。俺たちはお情けで奴隷を解放できるほど金持ちでもない。
Reunion. That's Leif right there.
11年も経ってるんだ。そろそろ潮時なんじゃないか。
To give up on this.
あの時トールズがいなければわしらは無事では済まない。
No, no, no. You're close now. You're close now.
恩には報いねばならん。
But
ここがヨークか。大きな町だな。
ええ、ローマの時代から栄えている古い町。
ooh.
北欧イングランド、双方の人と物がここに集まります。
おいとっつぁん、船尾の方やってくれ。
Has he noticed? He has. He has.
あの男。
Oh.
そうだ。
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He saw him then.
あの顔を忘れるものか。
A younger Askeladd.
アシェラット。
例えば殿下とトルケル殿にそれぞれ別の領地を孤立させる。それは褒美であり命令でもある。あれじゃない？
Oh, here comes an assassin.
今あなたがここで死ぬってことですよ。
Surely they must have had a decoy.
撃たれたぞ！王子殿下が撃たれた！
Yeah, get it out, get it out.
ちょろい仕事だぜ。
Not that easy. You're about to get yours. Right on cue. Oh my god, Leif is like right there too. Okay, so. Oh my god. That's how Leif sees him, huh? Oh my god. Oh my god.
俺じゃねえっつってんだろ。
いや、目を見りゃわかる。もうなんつうよどんだ目で。どっからどう見てもアクトゥーの連れで。
ノッポのトルケルにナイフ2本で挑んで勝った男だよ。
嘘。だったらやばくね。こいつ殿下の家来だぜ。マジか。
名はトールズの子トルフィン。
There.
あんた、レイフのおっちゃん。
He's aged so much in that time. You see that it's had quite an impact on him. There's no chance they would be that careless. Oh, yeah, I saw a breast there.
そうじゃないかなとは思ってたけど。やっぱ殿下は女だ。
バカ者。
Yeah.
私はここだ。
But who's that then? It's gotta be a slave, right?
女なのだ。
男の奴隷ではお姿に似たものが手に入りませんでしたね。
すまぬことをしたら。
I mean,
そのものをいたわって使わせ。
you must have known there was a good chance of this happening, right?
はい。日頃の用心が奏功しましたな、殿下。どうやらこのヨークにはあなた様にあだ名さんとするものが潜みおるようですぞ。
やっぱり仇討ちを。
Yes, he is.
野郎は必ず俺が殺す。
幼い子供が戦場を生き延びて地獄を見てきたに違いない。この子を救うにはこれまでの11年間を否定しなければ。
ヴィンランドは今どうなってる？父上が生きたがっていた。俺も時々夢に見るんだ。
なぜ残してきた母と姉のことを聞かんのだ。お前がいなくなってからヘルガの具合は一層悪くなった。顔を見せてやれトルフィン。ヘルガにはそれが薬だ。
俺はヴィンランドのことを聞いてんだよ。聞いてもねえことをペラペラと。
国へ帰ろうトルフィン。もう十分だろう。一緒に帰ろう。
十分。
Oh no.
あんたに何がわかる？ 今日までの俺の何を知ってるってんだ。アステラットが野郎が生きて飯を食いくさたれてる間は十分じゃねえ。
Oh, Thorfinn.
十分じゃね
This must be heartbreaking for
な
him.
んということか。あの陽気だった幼子が。お前の気が変わるまでわしはこの町にいるぞ。ドルフィン、フリーへ帰ろう。
ほれ酒だ。
悪い。
Oh, Bjorn.
いい部屋じゃねえかビョルン。
命がけの報酬にしちゃ狭い部屋だ。
そういやアトリのやつがな、お前に詫び入れたいって言ってたぜ。
戦場での切った切られたは恨みっこなしだ。ぐじぐじ根に持つのはトルフィンだけだ。お
Wow.
前、足の具合はどうだ。
しこたま矢を食らったからな。だがまあちっとぐれ剣を使うのに触りはな。
Hmm.
そうか、なら明日。
わかった。明日。
Wow.
出し抜かれたな。
Wow.
申し訳ございません。
この町に呪いをかけおったわ。
王子様が殺されたって？
違うよ、影武者だったんだ。
It's gonna spread now, right?
そうだね。
暗殺者がなんで王子様を狙ったのかってことだよ。
Oh yeah, this is their plan, right?
偉い人なんだし、命ぐらい狙われるだろうよ。
わでもよ、この町にはスベン陛下がいるんだ。
This is how it all
加
starts.
減ならそっちだろ。それにお世継ぎは2人おられる。
で、
Yeah.
わざわざ次男の方を狙うってこと
噂程度の話。そのくらいがちょうどいいのです。確たる証拠は突きつけず、王陛下側に余裕を残してやる方がいい。暗殺者を雇ったのはおめえか。
Ha!
なかなかの演出だったろ。ただ噂を流すだけじゃダメだ。あの演出があって初めて噂は真実味を持って広がる。デンマーク王家の跡目争いは皆知ってる。そこへこの暗殺未遂と噂。
Oh yeah.
トルケル殿を殿下から奪ったり激戦地へ送り込んだりすれば噂の後押しになります。王というのは人気商売です。軍民の己に対する悪評は捨ておけんでしょう。
Nicely done, Askeladd.
特にね。主へ回るな。そういうのどこで教わるわけ？力押しだけが戦じゃねってことだよ。
だが今後二度と私の身代わりを立てることは許さん。
はあ、申し訳ございません。
いやー、感服しましたぞ、アシェラット。
This guy's still a bit.
の軍勢を味方につけたようなものだ。
それはどうも。
では、お話が一段落したようですので。
Yeah, yeah, this guy's.
グンナル殿を信用してはなりません。おそらくスベン王に通じています。勘ですが間違いないでしょう。だとしたらやばくね？今の話も知られるぜ。かまあ知られてもいいことしか話してねえ。グンナルが来るなら今の話を今夜中に伝えるでしょう。確認のため。
Ah, perfect. Wow, Askeladd's got it all figured out, man.
彼を通じてこちらが短期決戦を望んでないことを王陛下側に知ってもらいましょう。患者からの情報なら信用し安心する。これで私の作戦は完成。
This track goes so hard.
まったくそなたという男は。
明日の王陛下の反応が楽しみです。
Wow, look at the detail here. Whoa.
午前会議の前にどうしてもってわけかトルフィン。
私がやめろと言ったら決闘は終わりだ。双方良いな。
Look at Thorkel.
結構です。実は戦略がありまして、じきここに。
Bjorn. Yeah, he's on his last legs.
承知した。始めよ。
Wow, Canoe looks so different, doesn't he? Okay. Wow. Wow.
あんたは強くて賢い。あんたを尊敬してる。あんたが俺を腹の底では嫌っていてもな、自分自身でさえも寂しくねえのか。そんなに何もかも拒んで
Wow.
あんたと友達になりたかったんだよ。
Loyal till the end, man. Loyal till the end.
すまん、急所を外しちまった。すぐ楽に。
アシェラッド、あんたと友達。
お前は俺のたった一人の友達だ。
Wow.
送ってくれ。
Wow, man, this is rest easy, man. Wow.
来い。遊んでやる。
Thorfinn, prepare yourself. You're about to learn another lesson. Right then, yeah. I mean, wow. Yet another incredible episode. You know, of course, I sound like a broken record at this point, but you know, it is that it just is, right? You know, this series, this anime has been on this incredible exponential incline, and it really is quite impressive, right? You know, I get the feeling that I'm about to get an incredible end to the story, to this anime, or to the season 1, or first season of this anime. Wow. Yeah, you know, and the fact that I only have 3 episodes left, you know, that's certainly kind of sad for many reasons. Of course, you know, first of all, you know, all of this coming to an end. You know, I've come to appreciate this so much, though, you know, that's nothing new. It had me from a really early stage, right? It hooked me from a really early stage, but yeah, to finally be this close to actually concluding the first season, yeah, it's kind of bittersweet, right? It is bittersweet. And usually that is the case for things that are really good, right? For shows or stories that are really good. And you could tell that perhaps a lot more of the time and effort is kind of being allocated to this last phase, essentially. I mean, it was noticeable, right? This episode was just, I'm speaking of like the technical aspect of it, right? Of course, I'll get into everything else, but the technical aspect, you know, the animation, wow, the backgrounds, the voice acting. Though, of course, you know, I'm not saying the voice acting is or has been lacking or anything before this, but, you know, you could tell that a lot of their efforts have been kind of given to this last phase, I think, or are going to be given to this last phase. I mean, I'm certainly expecting these final 3 episodes to be some of the best of the series, essentially. But, you know, the facial animation was such a standout in this, right? The detail in the expressions. And again, you know, I've said it so many times at this point, but they play such an important part in the storytelling of this anime, the expressions. And yeah, you know, a lot of detail was allocated, or they were given a lot of detail in this episode for sure. And, you know, speaking of bittersweet, how about that incredible ending for Bjorn? How about that incredible send-off for Bjorn? I mean, I have no complaints. I thought that was just perfection. It really was. Once again, you know, the deliberate pacing, the adequate time allocated to a scene of that magnitude, right? I really appreciated the silence of it all. To just let it sit. To me, that makes it even more poignant, right? The voice acting, wow. The shot composition, everything about this final scene is just perfection. It's one of the best scenes of the entire anime. It's one of the saddest moments of the anime. Yes, Bjorn, you are my one and only friend. I mean, that is, it's an incredible moment of the series, right? I guess you could even say it is a bit ambiguous, right? Does he truly mean it, right? Or is he kind of, out of mutual respect, he's kind of saying this in Bjorn's last moments to put him at ease. I feel like he means it. I feel like he truly means it as well. At least this might be the closest to a friend that someone like Askeladd can have, given his disposition, given his perspective on things, given his goals, right? Given his hatred for these people, right? I despise the Danes. And of course, that includes himself, a lot of self-loathing. And of course, Bjorn knows this, right? Bjorn knows that he kind of keeps people at an arm's length, doesn't truly let anyone in. You see that he even gets frustrated at times because he always wanted more than that, right? He wanted more than just to be a subordinate, to be a right-hand man. And you see that he is finally able to kind of come out with these feelings and kind of get them out there in the open on his deathbed, right? That he legitimately wanted to be his friend. And, if you go back to some of these episodes a bit earlier on, I mean, not earlier on, but I guess it's around the time, Thorgrim and Bjorn are kind of talking about Askeladd as a leader and his mysterious nature and how he kind of has so many secrets, right? You see a lot of his frustration in that moment. I remember Bjorn speaking of how he's spent more than a decade by his side, yet, he barely tells me anything. He barely shares anything, or I barely even know him, right? That was one of the shockers for him, right? To find out this new information about his background. It's quite the bombshell. But you see that Askeladd did have respect for Bjorn. And as they do initiate the duel, you see that Askeladd almost kind of panics as he kind of misses, right? He's trying to get a clean blow, end it nicely, right? Nice and clean, quickly for Bjorn, painless as possible. You see the immediate concern on his face that he's about to just inflict even more unneeded pain onto Bjorn at this point, right? And you see he immediately follows up by telling him, no, I'm gonna make sure, to end this right now. I'm gonna end this real quick for you right now. That moment of panic in his face, that was quite telling, right? For a man like Askeladd. And, the fact that he kind of missed, is there even a bit of hesitation there, right? Him trying to go for the killing blow for the final strike and kind of missing his target. Yeah, maybe there is a bit of, wow, I'm about to actually finish this man off. I don't know, right? It's not like Askeladd to miss. And you see that this certainly affected Askeladd, right? It wasn't just a case of, okay, I have to take care of this and then let's do our duel. No. You see at the end of that episode, yeah, the mood is really different there. And the mood going into this duel with Thorfinn is really different from the last time I saw it. You see that they are kind of using the same type of visual cue as the last episode, right? I mean, that was after King Sven kind of insulted his mother. Though, of course, King Sven didn't do it knowingly or anything. He's a king. He doesn't care. Like I mentioned, he doesn't care about people's feelings, right? He's in that position that it doesn't matter to him. You see that something similar is kind of being used here as well. So yeah, I certainly think the mood is so different here, and Askeladd is about to perhaps dish out quite the lesson to Thorfinn. I think it's pretty clear cut that Thorfinn is not going to beat Askeladd, right? He's in no position to do that as of this point. I mean, even though Askeladd is kind of injured or recovering from injuries himself, as Bjorn brought up in that conversation, right? How are your legs? And of course, Askeladd's response kind of put Bjorn at ease, didn't it, right? That he is fit enough to swing a sword. So yeah, to me, it kind of had multiple meanings, right? You can kind of look into that beyond just him giving Bjorn this send-off or giving him this chance, even though Askeladd rejected this a long time ago, right? And he doesn't believe in any of this Valhalla stuff. He still obliged Bjorn, right? He let him have that, and he kind of sent him off through his own belief system. Sword in hand, goes out like a warrior. Listen, it remains to be seen if this next duel might have an opening, at least to a turning point for Thorfinn, because he's still quite stubborn, right? I mean, Thorfinn is one of the most frustrating characters of this show, of this anime, of this story, right? He is a frustrating character. He really is. Again, that's deliberate. That is by design. And for that reason, once that change comes in, once that change comes about, that character development, that progression, it's all set up to be just incredible, right? Given his stubborn nature that Askeladd himself knows all about over the last decade or so. And in this episode, Leif Erikson gets to see that side of Thorfinn, right? He gets to see this completely changed individual, right? That Thorfinn he knew, that Thorfinn doesn't exist anymore, right? In that sense, you have to look at Leif Erikson at this point. He spent 11 years of his life, and you see that it had quite an impact on him, right? Yes, of course, he grew old naturally, but I feel like this has played a part in Leif Erikson's mental health, for sure, and physical health as well. I mean, it was quite the shock for Leif Erikson, quite the heartbreak moment for Leif Erikson to see this shattered young individual in front of him that doesn't resemble anything that he remembers. Doesn't resemble him a bit, right? The figure in front of him is one that is full of hatred and rage. Someone who has been through hell, someone who has experienced hell, someone who has been shaped by the hell that he's experienced, right? So, from Leif Erikson's perspective, the person he was looking for doesn't really even exist anymore, right? He's still in there, deep inside, he still might be in there, but at this moment in time, this is a totally different individual in front of him. So, kind of leaves Leif Erikson in limbo now, right? He knows that this is not the person that could even go back to Helga and Ylva. Helga, who appears to be quite sick herself. But yeah, Leif Erikson knows this is not the type of person that could face his mother, or should be facing his mother, nor does he want to face his mother at this moment in time. He's immediately agitated and lashes out at Leif Erikson because Leif Erikson brings up his family, right? He said, I didn't ask for any of this. Why are you bringing that up, right? He doesn't want to think about any of that, right? He cannot think about any of that. He decided to put that aside a long time ago because if he doesn't, he's not going to be able to stay on this path. And, for both Leif Erikson and for Thorfinn, there is that notion of the sunken cost fallacy as well, right? But yeah, it's good that there is someone like Leif Erikson around, and it'll be interesting to see the role he might play in these final 3 episodes in terms of Thorfinn and his story from this point on. But how about Askeladd in this episode? I mean, this is certainly the Askeladd show, right? Everyone is kind of attached to him and his actions, entangled even. There's that brilliant shot of the spider, right? And you see Askeladd on one side and the rest of them on the other side, and you see Canute in the middle. But yeah, wow. Incredible visual storytelling, of course. And, like I mentioned earlier, there's some phenomenal backgrounds. I mean, this man excels at the game, doesn't he? The scheming, the planning, the setup. Wow. And you see that Thorkel was quite impressed as well, right? He even kind of posed the question, how did you become so cunning? Kind of almost setting up a potential backstory as well, right? There's still quite a bit that's unknown about Askeladd, right? So, 3 episodes to go. Hopefully there is some sort of backstory that I can get. And you see King Swen's reaction, right? Yeah, he admits that they've been kind of, outdone here by an impressive individual. To me, it actually kind of felt like he was even impressed by Askeladd, right? He wasn't speaking of Askeladd in a manner that made it sound like that he needs to get rid of him ASAP, right? You could tell he is impressed by this individual. He was concerned by him, but also impressed by him as well, I think. And perhaps this whole strategy could even kind of bring about a change in King Swen's perspective, his stance in all of this in terms of Prince Canute, right? Maybe he is going to realize, okay, maybe Prince Canute is not who I think he was, right? Or he's changed quite a bit, right? He's matured and kind of taken initiative, but he also understands the value that Askeladd brings to this, right? The value he brings to Prince Canute. But how fantastic was it to see Askeladd's false flag strategy play out? You know, one aspect of it certainly got me by surprise. You know, him being the one who actually hired the assassin himself, right? So he hired the assassin, he got the body double. Unfortunately, it was a slave girl, right? And earlier I thought Prince Canute might know about this, but you know, later it was clear that he didn't know about this, and he does not want Askeladd to do that again, right? But yeah, you know, he got the assassin, he got the body double. So yeah, you know, he got one over King Swen, and King Swen knows this, he understands this, and he told Floki as much. And I love how he only really wanted rumors, right? He didn't want anything definitive. And of course, for that reason, the assassin gets taken out almost immediately, right? So Floki and the Jomsvikings can't find him to question him. And you know, a few episodes ago, I think they mentioned a game, right? It's meant to be it's kind of meant to be chess, right? I believe it was meant to be the Viking version of chess, right? You see that Askeladd is playing that right now, right? He is the master, and he knows how the people are. He knows how these rumors are going to spread, right? He was banking on it, and he was spot on. I mean, Askeladd is such an incredible character. Wow. I mean, you know, before I actually, you know, watched Death Note, one thing I kept hearing over and over again is Light Yagami. Light Yagami is one of the greatest anime protagonists of all time, right? I kept hearing that. And, you know, I must say, yes, as of this point, I have a handful of episodes still to watch for Death Note, but, you know, that did not live up to my expectations at all. Light Yagami, that is. The hype around Light Yagami. I mean, you guys know by now, you know, I'm not much of a Light Yagami fan. I just don't see much there. To be honest, interesting character, but him being considered one of the greatest anime protagonists of all time, if I'm being frank, that's been a bit of a head scratcher for me, really. I mean, if you're gonna ask me of my anime character rankings and all that, you know, I think Askeladd clears Light Yagami. I mean, getting to watch Askeladd's characterization in comparison to his true character has been one of the most enjoyable and interesting experiences I've had in anime so far. You know, this character has been specific, dimensional, unpredictable, and at times tough to read or hard to read or difficult to read, right? At some points of the story. And of course, you know, that makes him fascinating and so real. But yeah, you know, it's a bittersweet episode for sure. You know, goodbye to Bjorn. And I love that Askeladd kind of helps him move on through Bjorn's own belief system, even though Askeladd himself has rejected all of that stuff a long time ago. But he did have respect for Bjorn, and he did that for him. But he did have respect for Bjorn, and he was able to do that for him. And essentially, that's the end of his crew. That was the last man from his crew. I mean, it is yet another fantastic episode of the anime, of the story. And there's some incredible setup there for these last 3 episodes. And certainly for the next episode. Yeah, so if you enjoyed this, consider dropping a like. Consider dropping some comments. Give me your thoughts. If you're interested in full length or, you know, early access to the next episode right now, consider checking out the Patreon page. The link is in the description, in the pinned comment. And also, if you're into social media, there's a link to my Twitter page if you're into that. Right then, that's about it for this one. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for your time. And I hope to see you again soon for the next one and the final 2 episodes beyond that. Until then, take it easy.